Now, this video is really about the horrible predicaments that family members find themselves in when they're stuck with an alcoholic in their family. And usually it centers around a vacation. I can remember one particular incident. This is back in 2015. It was around the period where my mother was dying and my wife had cleaned out my dad's liquor cabinet when we were at the hospital. So I had to get him out of town for a while. My mother was stabilized, so we decided to go down to Washington, D.C. And my wife, for whatever reason, we just couldn't get her to stop drinking, and it just never stopped. But we had a couple days of sobriety. We went to Gettysburg, and then we went down to Washington, D.C., and my son and I wanted to go to the Smithsonian. So on this particular day, we pulled up in front of the Smithsonian, and my son and I were very excited about going inside to see the natural history, the dinosaurs and all that. And my wife didn't want to go. And I'm like, well, aren't you going to go with us? Well, in her defense, she had an ankle operation a week or so, maybe a month before we left. So she still needed a cane, so she couldn't walk around that much. I said, fine, stay in the car. If you just want to hang out on your phone, that's fine for now. But I had my big concerns that she was alone by herself in front of the Smithsonian. So my son and I decided to go it alone, so we walked up the steps of the Smithsonian, excited to see Tyrannosaurus rexes and brontosauruses and the earliest man, Lucy. The Lucy exhibit was there at the time. We had a lot of fun. We were inside for about 2 hours, and we really didn't want to leave, but I kept calling my wife on the cell phone just to check in with her, see how she's doing. And the same feeling that I'd gotten in past times, that she wasn't answering the phone, she wasn't answering texts, she wasn't picking up her phone, and yet she was supposed to be on her phone in the front seat of the car, and she wasn't answering. So after at least 2 hours, I was getting very concerned. I said, to my son Griffin, we got to leave. I think we need to go back to the car. We can come back, but we have to at least find out what's going on with Mom. I think it's time to do a check. And as we walked down the sidewalk, closer to the car that was parked, her feet were sticking out the passenger side door like this, just sticking out the side, and just very unnaturally. And I ran up to the car. I'm like, what is going on? And we both looked into the car, and she was passed out, sprawled across the front seat of the car. And there was an empty wine bottle inside the car. I'm like, how is that even possible? Where did she get alcohol? We're in the middle of downtown Washington, D.C. There's no stores around there. I mean, we were just aghast. We couldn't even understand. We couldn't even comprehend how she had gotten wine because she didn't have any with us when we were there. So my son had to get something out of the back of the trunk of the car. So I popped the back trunk and he opened it up, and inside there was 2 other bottles. One was empty and one was full. I'm talking about 2-liter bottles, 1.75-liter bottles of wine. So she had already drank almost 3.5 liters of wine in that 2-hour period, sitting in the car by herself. And I think this is the moment, our son and I just stood there by the car and we just looked at each other and we were just absolutely mystified. We were stunned, we were traumatized. I mean, we could not even believe that we couldn't even have one single day to relax and enjoy, the Smithsonian Institute. We couldn't even do that. And it was such a sad feeling for both of us. And I'm sure, my wife was very sick the next day, but we never understood it. I still, to this day, don't know where she got it. She must have bought it somehow and snuck it into her luggage. We will never know. The point is, she did. And the only reason why she wanted to sit back was to drink. And it was such a sad feeling. And I know families go through this. They get to the point where, they're just so trapped. So trapped. And if you have that feeling, I'm really making this video so that this type of story resonates. And it's important to realize that you're not the only one who's going through this insanity. And again, if you feel trapped as a family member and you need help with the alcoholic in your family, click on the link above in the calendar link tree, set up a Zoom call. I have a complete coaching program that helps families and the alcoholic. And again, please like, share, and comment. We also have the Facebook group, An Alcoholic in the Family. And also, I go live on TikTok every night, Monday through Friday, around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock East Coast. And again, thanks for listening.